This is why I've always despised when Democrats do that really politically damaging thing where they argue that Trump is like a distinctly evil force within an otherwise captured Republican Party. You have to understand, man, Trump might be one of the least evil people in the Republican Party because he's one of the only ones so mentally compromised that he doesn't understand what he's doing. He was like that in his first term, too. The only thing that's been keeping the cap on the Republicans for all this time, for the past decade, is the fact that they thought they couldn't get away with doing what they wanted to do. Trump just doesn't have the knowledge, doesn't have the temperance to keep himself from acting in that way. But now that he's just popped the lid off anyway, all of them are taking advantage of it. All of them are like this, you know? Honestly, I kind of wish Trump was evil and smart, but he's not. Yeah, we want a narrative where Trump is the big bad, and when he's defeated, things will get better. But he's not. He's just not. He's not. He's genuinely, like, in terms of his political instincts and his willingness to, you know, his direction to lead the country, indistinguishable from just a regular Republican at this point. A regular Republican might actually be a little bit smarter and more, discerning with the advice that they take, if anything, because Trump is, again, pretty mentally compromised, and he's also a huge egomaniac, so he's really susceptible to flattery. Any flattery will win him over. He always has been that way. You get me, don't you? Democrats are setting us up for a lifetime of this. Over and over and over again, on and off, you know? Trump goes, oh, well, somebody else will do the exact same thing. You've got like 100 million people in this country who are susceptible to this kind of rhetoric. We're dealing with like an underlying issue here. People think it's exceptional that Trump is an authoritarian. I've got bad news for you guys. The average person is. Authoritarianism is the norm. Democracy is the aberration. Authoritarianism was more or less how humans have organized themselves civilizationally for all of human history, with few exceptions, up until the past century and a half. And it's only been a wide-based distribution of labor and educational rights that's led that change, by the way. That wasn't because everyone's brains suddenly changed. That's because, in a materialist sense, the way we relate to our labor, the fact that people need to do more complex forms of labor in order to produce, to make themselves economically viable, requires general education. General education increases people's standards and expectations of living. It's kind of like a downstream effect. There are relationships between the way in which capitalism has predominated and the growth of democracy as a dominant form of government. But things are shifting backwards. You can say it's because of AI. You can say it's because of the service economy. You can say it's because of the fact that maybe we kind of overcorrected. The average person does not need to be that smart to do a job, folks. Basic literacy, some mathematical skills, social skills, most of these you could pick up grades 1 through 6. Whether it's material, whether it's social, we're backsliding. And if you put an average person in the Oval Office, not Trump, not even a Republican, just the average person, and you gave them a bunch of yes men, they'd be an authoritarian too. 9 times out of 10, they'd be an authoritarian too. They would, out of inertia, gravitate at first to democratic norms, until time and time again it turned out democracy is complicated and, in America's case, extremely inefficient and obstructionist. And they would default over and over to what he's doing. Sorry, I'm framing this as like a response to Democrats, but it's not really. I'm just talking, I suppose. But I think it's important to understand these things. The scope of the problem that we're dealing with.